technical session is themed around bio-inspired and soft robotics. We have three presentations here. Our first speaker in the first technical session is Professor Nikhil Chopra. Nikhil is a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering and is affiliated with the Institute of Systems Research. And he's going to talk about his research into modeling and control of soft robots. So Nikhil, please take it away.
Thanks, Pratap. Thanks for arranging this symposium and the team as well. It's great to be here. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about modeling, sensing, and control of soft robots. In the interest of time, I'll primarily focus on control and a little bit of sensing as well. So focus primarily will be on control aspects in the talk. Yeah. So where are we coming from here? So we know now really well how to kind of control rigid robots. You see them around, you see them in the labs, you see them in the industry. The reason they are very popular is they are we can do repeatable and very accurate control. We if we want to pick something up, we know it's going to be picked up. It's going to move in a desired fashion. Now, when we come to soft robots, so essentially soft robots, we have a kind of a broad definition here. We have basically allowing large deformations, deflections, that can happen. So we would like to kind of get similar performance there. So what we are trying to investigate essentially here is that what kind of sensing do we need, what kind of controlling, what kind of modeling approaches do we need, what kind of control approaches do we need to actually get there. So it's like we are currently in some ways like the 1970s of rigid robots, okay? Before some very strong modeling control approaches came about, and then they brought us to where we are today with respect to rigid robots. So yeah. So there are some modeling approaches. I'll just go over briefly some of them, and then I'll focus on one. So the focus of our kind of most of the work that we'll be talking about today is this what we call the PCC model, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But there are others as well. Multiple joint models, and recently more utilizes also the Cousin-Rod rod models. And also, there is also interest in trying to get forget about models, right? And just go ahead and do end-to-end machine learning to figure out some of the approaches are listed here who kind of delve in that domain as well. So what exactly is this, this PCC kind of approach? So basically what we kind of assume is that, we have this infinite dimensional. So the complexity essentially for these soft robotic systems comes from the fact that these are infinite dimensional systems as compared to rigid robots, where I can, maybe put, let's say I have with Revolute joints, and I know how many, degrees of freedom I have. Here, kind of, it becomes quite a challenge to do that. So one of the approximation methods is, you assume that your manipulator essentially is has piecewise constant curvature essentially. And in 2020 kind of there's a paper in IJRR which kind of details this model. And what it allows essentially to do is, in this, for example, in this case, you can represent kind of a link as a RPPR model essentially. Those who are kind of familiar with that basically means Revolute prismatic Revolute, right? And once you do that, you get the DH parameterization and so forth. You can kind of write down the dynamics in a form that is kind of similar to what we would expect in rigid robots, right? And I'm going to go into details of what these matrices look like, but you can kind of look at the paper that I referenced there and go for there. But what it kind of does is allows you to kind of capture some of the dynamics and and basically then start trying to utilize that in control aspects. So one thing that we wanted to try out when we kind of saw this model was that how does it work in practice, right? That can really model some of the effects well that we are trying to kind of we are anticipating, and they're going to cause problems for us. So one issue that comes up immediately is that these models contain some parameters which are kind of uncertain. So we would have to deal with that either through system identification or in robotics and in control in general, we have adaptive methods to be able to adapt some estimates that we have so that we can do some of these things. So this is just to show that, I think Laseta is going to, who's kind of be leading the research as a graduate student, he's going to be talking more about in the poster session, but I just wanted to show one video of it. This is basically trajectory tracking, that you can essentially do really well. So this is trying to illustrate that, that although this is a kind of a limited model, right? If your goal is to do, here the goal is basically to track trajectories, the tip you want the tip in the task space to track kind of a desired trajectory, you can do really well, right? So this kind of, if there was a rigid robot, this may not be feasible depending on various constraints in the environment and so forth. This may not be feasible to do that. Okay, and we'll see some of the other things that how this this helps us in doing certain tasks, which is really not possible by rigid robots. So we also want to try it out in experiments, right? So here we have a soft robot. Essentially, it's a two link. So you see two segments like the one I mentioned. So two segments of constant curvature, right? And you see the different points. So we are trying to do tracking in those different spaces. So you can hear that noise. That's kind of, the pneumatics. Well, we need to, these are like very, off the shelf pneumatics, and all the equipment is off the shelf. And right now what is you seeing here in the corner, top left corner is kind of the OptiTrack cameras. They're kind of tracking the trajectory in task space. And Lasita is kind of taking, is moving the reference for the robot, and the robot tip is trying to follow that reference. Okay, so that essentially is so we saw that this is reasonable performance, like at least it's not fast and so forth, and there's some limitations, but its model is somewhat useful, right? And this is how the whole experimental setup looks like. And we would like to thank Ivan, who's kind of in the RRL, who has helped in setting up some of these cameras and so forth for us, right? So we also wanted to try it for one particular application, which is that let's say I have a rigid robot and I want to kind of attach a soft robot at the tip so that it can do dexterous manipulation at the end effector, right? And so we want to try out that if I want to do some kind of teleoperation, right? How does it really work? Is it effective for that? And this is the soft robot, the 3-link robot. So 3 segments, which are essentially, the modeling assumes that they are going to be of constant curvature, right? And we're going to control it as such, and then see in practice, how things move about. So you want to do tip tracking, right? And there can be a communication channel between what is a leader robot and the follower robot, and a human is kind of trying to do that, and also get force feedback. So when you do that over a communication channel, what happens is that there may be some time delays, and as soon as you do any kind of closed loop operation over a communication network, things can go unstable and very quickly if you're closing the loop over a network. We did this operation here, and we also added some subtask, in the sense that let's say your soft robot cannot go beyond certain curvature limits due to maybe obstacles or some other things in your workspace, right? So this kind of illustrates the basically how the soft robot moved in the task space as it was being teleoperated. And similarly, we also wanted to see what happens that if I put obstacle, can I feel that obstacle? Is there any haptic force that I'm going to be able to kind of experience, right? And we can, get that as well. So that's where we are closing essentially the loop, right? And we are getting that force back, and we can kind of get a reasonable estimate of the force as well, which is kind of highlighted in the in the region that you see there. So what were the things that we got out of it? That response is slightly slow because of pneumatic actuation, and also some hysteresis that comes about. We need to kind of include actuator saturation because that's practically what you will see. So if your controller doesn't account for it, you're going to see kind of below par performance. And some of these effects, some of these estimates, which we kind of took out to be constant, they may actually change with time and with curvature as well, right? So you want to capture some of these things. So now, as you saw, we had a camera there, right, which was kind of detecting, so basically I'm measuring the curvature, right, and I want to control the curvature, and I have kind of, segments of these different constant curvature modules linked up with each other, right? So we want to be able to, measure that bending, right? How much is it bending? Because that's my sensing. I need that information. Now, if I want to use this externally, right, we need that information from some other aspect, because cameras are not going to be there. Some people also use magnet tracking. It's not, the optimal thing to use from a cost perspective, and also from, basically environment is cluttered, it's not going to be helpful for you. So we wanted to kind of come up with, figure out this bending information so that we can, actually deploy it in closed loop control. So here we kind of, our collaborators, came to our rescue in some ways, right? So we kind of were able to use these soft skins. And so they were developed in Professor Smila's lab. And these are the graduate students who were involved in the work, Lasita, Hudson, and Rahul, and Professor Smela and Professor Yu, right, who were collaborating in this research. And this is actually appearing shortly in ICRA. So what essentially we did is that we kind of used these, soft sensing skins, which can kind of, they're basically spray-coated stretchable piezoresistive layer onto a latex membrane, and you kind of wrap them around the soft robot. So they're retrofitted. And so you can take a soft robot which is already there, and you can retrofit these soft, sensor skins. And basically, we wanted to use them for curvature estimation so that we can do adaptive tracking control, where it's bending both ways. This is basically how it looks like, right? So they're basically there's segment A and B, right? And the bending is being bent. It's a bidirectional bending. You can kind of figure that out. And this is how the experimental setup looks like. So there, for example, if for every link of the soft robot, we have 2 pneumatic actuation units for, both kind of both channels, if you will, so it can bend in each way, right? And one thing that comes about here is that, I'm getting some raw sensor data. How am I going to correlate with the bending information? So we can kind of created a, what we call intelligent sensor, in the sense that we use basically a machine learning approach where we took some ground truth using the cameras that you just saw, right? And we saw those sensor signals and actuation signals as well. So 2 inputs, actuation and sensor data that is going into this learning model, right? And we trained an LSTM model, and we kind of trained this, and these are some of the details for that model. We wanted to kind of see how it's going to perform in practice. So basically, some parameters that you need to train, in that, for example, hidden unit. So we need kind of validation sets to be able to do that. And we wanted to test it in real time, how it's really going to perform. So this is kind of how it was performing. So you see the raw strain signal, right? So that's coming about, and the actuation signal as well. So we used both these things, not just the model is not just a regression model between strain and actual bending information coming from the camera, but it's also kind of using the actuation signal as well. So for unidirectional bending, right, bending in one direction, we kind of tested it out in we trained the model right offline, and then we tested it out on a real experiment, and we got very good results. So we're quite happy with that. And then we kind of, tried out the bidirectional bending as well, bending in both directions. So you can see that here also, its performance is quite good. So we basically now have sensor that we can use for our controller, right? Which we wanted to basically do. So here, remember that the state information that we have that we're trying to control is the bending angles, right? And we now know that we have good kind of estimates for that from our intelligence sensor. So basically, we kind of use a traditional adaptive tracking controller in the joint space, not the task space, the joint space, because we're trying to do adaptive tracking there. And these are standard algorithms, right? So I'm not going into too much detail for them. There's a book that you can refer to, and also this is the it's called the slotting Lee controller, right? And this is the experimental result performance that you see, right? For a low frequency target, using this estimates that are coming from a machine learning model, right? And you can see that we can track it reasonably, right? Both for a low frequency target and a high frequency target as well. So this was initially was for the unidirectional bending, and this is for bidirectional bending that we can do this. So now we can, what we know here is that we can essentially do control for fully actuated robots, which are modeled using the PCC assumption. Now, if you look at the robots on the right, these represent some very kind of challenging control problems and modeling problems as well. And people have been, trying to do various, come up with various algorithms to address them. And we can now flip and do all kind of things, right? Early, which was not possible maybe a decade back, for example. So we would like to kind of see how we can kind of come up with similar problems. What are the challenge problems that we can see in soft robotics, right? in the sense that we want to figure out that, what are the limits for the control, for the modeling, for the sensing, and we wanted to come up with some interesting problems to kind of study these effects. So, in control systems, there's some, challenging, what we call benchmark problems for testing out, for example, nonlinear controllers. For example, the cart invert, cart pendulum system, or the ball and beam system, or the Pendowatt system, right? So we kind of came up with a system. So what we call it the soft invert pendulum with a revolute base. So essentially, what you have here is you have a link, right? This is actuated using, for example, pneumatic actuation, and you have a revolute joint which is not actuated. Okay, so there is 1 degree of, you can think of it as, if you were to think of it, there are 2 degrees that I want to control, but I have only 1 degree of actuation, if I will. Okay, so if you do the maths and so forth, and similar, you take the kinematics, and from that you go ahead and derive the dynamics, right? You will get this kind of a system, which again resembles a typical model for a under actuated robotic system. So this is the 2 kind of things are the degree of curvature that we're trying to control, and the base rotation, which is not controlled here. Okay, so what the problem essentially is that I have this pendulum, right, and I want to swing it up, right? So it's like at the lower configuration, and I want to first swing it up and stabilize it at the top configuration, right? And so some of the methods that are there that are used for traditional under actuated systems, right? They're basically called energy-based methods, where you kind of figure out where you want to go, you figure out the energy for that configuration, and you try and drive it there. Okay, and then once you get in the vicinity of that configuration, you switch to what we call a linear controller, and you basically stabilize that configuration. The second approach, which is which has been quite useful for a lot of systems, is what we call partial feedback linearization based methods, right? And they were developed in 1990s and been used for a lot of underactuated systems, right? And so I will just give a brief overview of what we did, right? So basically, this is the configuration energy at the top level, right? So what we are trying to do is the controller is trying to drive it there, right? So it's going to figure out what we call the Lyapunov function. Some of the people who are familiar with it, it's kind of composed of that. We are trying to make this energy zero, right? Difference of energy zero, and at the same time, have some other terms in our Lyapunov function as well. So you do the maths and so forth, and you can eventually show that indeed that you will actually stabilize, or you will at least come to a kind of a limit set where your energy basically will match with the energy that you want to drive it to. Okay, and we have a paper that kind of details all of this. I'm not going to details for that, right? And then there's a standard LQR method for kind of once you get in the vicinity, you can stabilize it. And this is kind of, you also kind of compute the region of attraction, right? So that the linear controller can actually grab it from there and take it on, right? And once it's there, we switch to the linear controller. So just to show you a quick simulation, right? We are still building the system, and hopefully, so now you see that, this is very different from a typical swing up control problem. It can really, because the system can really bend, right? So it'll swing it up, and it'll try to get there, and eventually get there, and then basically the linear controller will take over, right? So shortly you should see that, right? So stabilize there. So this is we find a very interesting problem to try out the controllers that people are trying to come up with for the soft robots, and this is an interesting problem. Similarly, if I mentioned to you the problem of actuator. Sorry, this one of actuator saturation. So for that, we essentially explicitly we saturate the control effort. So it's a slightly different approach. We use the partial feedback linear approach. So this is actually really slow, right? So we had to speed up the video in the interest of time. And what we find is that eventually, similarly, right, the good thing here is that you can limit the control effort. So this will be something that may be very useful in a practical situation, right? When we actually develop the actual system and test it out there, right? So this was some of the efforts that we have been kind of doing recently, and I just want to summarize them. But just to take home message is that we really need to kind of have a very integrated approach for doing this. If you want to develop high performance for these systems, you need a very integrated approach in sensing, modeling, and control. And find that benchmark problems here can kind of help in developing some limitations and find new pathways for sensing and control. Thank you, and I'll be happy to I think I'm almost out of time, so I'll be happy to take any question that may be there.
Thanks a lot, Michael. I'm going to applaud on behalf of everyone. There's a quick question here. So while teleoperating, is there a way where we can sense the obstacles? I'm not sure. I think maybe they're referring to exteroceptive sensing beyond the force-based sensing that you mentioned.
And so basically you can, so we haven't you could put a force sensor there at the tip and you would feel it. But what happens is that our controller provides kind of it's like an indirect sense. You will feel the obstacle there. So you will know that there is an obstacle there and you will stop there. If you push it harder, things will basically, if it was a rigid robot, you will not be able to push it farther. And the obstacle was really rigid. But in this case, we had a soft optical. If I really push it, it's going to go through.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot, Nikhil. This was a very excellent overview. Very quick, but really cool overview of your research in this area. So I'm going to